My name is Hannah, and this is my no-buy year. Hi you guys, this is my first video that I'm filming after having returned from working 2 consecutive tango festivals over the past almost 3 weeks. And if you watched was it my last video? I think so. My last video was one that I filmed when I was home in between the 2 festivals, so this isn't my first time filming in 2 weeks, but with the exception of that video, everything else that has gone up while I was gone was pre-filmed. I think I pre-filmed like 7 videos or something. So I feel like I have missed you, even though you may not have missed me. It's nice to be back. However, I am so tired. I'm so tired. I did get a good night's sleep last night. Yesterday was the day I flew back from Albuquerque, but it does take more than one day to recover from days and days and days of working all day and dancing into the night, which is what I have been doing, and sometimes working into the night. It depended on the night. And so I'm just very tired. It's going to take a couple of days. I was working today. I went to work. I have to hit the ground running because we have more events coming up and it just never ends. So I was at work and I walked past a mirror and I thought I had mascara smudged under my eyes. I was like, oh no, I've got to get that off. And then when I walked up to the mirror and looked, it was just that my under eyes were really like sad looking, a little bit blue and wrinkled, and it looked like there was something smudged there, but no, it's just that I'm busted the house. I put on fresh makeup for this video and tried to brighten myself up as much as possible, so hopefully I don't look as pathetic as I have been looking, but I still feel as pathetic as I have been looking. So I decided to film an easy and hopefully a quick video. I'm just gonna do makeup I've hit pan on, which is something that has been highly requested, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while and I haven't had anywhere to fit it in. I have so many things I want to film, but this is what we're doing today. So I've pulled it all out, it's here, and let's just go ahead and get right into the meat of the video. So I have one base product and then I have blushes, highlighters, and eyeshadows. I'm just gonna go through in that order. The one base product that I have is my one spot concealing concealer. It's my no-buy year, and I have only been replacing things when I run out of absolutely everything in that category. In the category of concealer, I haven't had to do that. This is the spot concealer that I started the year with, and it is the one that I still have. However, I have hit significant pan on it. It's the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I wear the color Chantilly, which is the lightest shade, and it's the best pot spot concealer that I have ever used. I absolutely love it. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a product like this. I find that it provides really, really good full coverage for my red spots and my blemishes on many a day. I only wear this as base. Frequently I'll wear color corrector and this, but sometimes it's just this. And actually lately I've been getting lazy, or rather I haven't really been wanting to reach for Shape Tape, which is my other category of concealer, my liquid concealer. I have Shape Tape in that category. I haven't been wanting to reach for it because it's so full coverage and it can look really makeup-y really fast. So for a bit more control when I'm going for a no makeup look, which is most of the time when it comes to my skin, that is, I've actually been going in with this if I need to brighten up my under eye area, or if I need to brighten up a spot that's a little bit red or a little bit dark, just a really, really tiny bit, and buffing it into the skin. And I've actually been enjoying using it for that too. So this has kind of evolved to be my most used concealer rather than just my spot concealer. It's perfect for me. I'm gonna try to swatch everything today. I think it'll probably go pretty far down my arm, but hopefully you'll still be able to see. So I'm gonna start up here. You shouldn't be able to see this. The reason I like it for spot concealing is that it's an excellent match for my skin. It's not a highlighting concealer, it's really one that blends right into my skin tone, and that's what makes it perfect for the thing that I use it for the most. And also, honestly, that's what makes it look a little bit less makeup-y than Shape Tape, which is very brightening on me, the color that I have, which is I think Fair, the lightest shade. This isn't quite as brightening because it's a match for my skin rather than being a highlighting shade on me. This is the Kjaer Weis Blush Precious, and this was in one of my Shop My Stash projects earlier in the year, and I actually hit pan on it when I was on camera. I was doing a get ready with me. I talked at length about this blush in the Get Ready With Me that I did with it and in the Shop My Stash review that I did with it. It is beautiful. In fact, I'm kind of glad I'm doing this because I had forgotten about it. I hadn't forgotten about it completely, but I had stopped reaching for it just because I have more blush than I can keep in my mind. This is a good reminder to reach for it again. It's such a natural looking but striking blush. That cream blush formula from Kjaer Weis is impeccable. It's expensive because it's all natural, green beauty, really, really haute. The colors, everything about it, stunning, the packaging. But if you have a very, very edited minimal collection of green makeup and you're looking for a blush, that's the one that I would recommend. If you're a total makeup junkie and you have a bunch of blushes, I wouldn't necessarily recommend spending the like $52 or $58 on a Kjaer Weis blush. But if you are super minimal, super focused, really, you know, fresh face, grab and go, kind of elevated Glossier type lady. So the next blush I have here is a Wet n Wild blush that I've depotted. This is, I'm almost 100% positive, apricot in the middle. I checked out a bunch of swatches online and this is what I thought that that was, and now I'm even more sure that that's what it is since I looked at the swatches. It's just hard to know for sure because the packaging is gone and it doesn't even say the name on the Wet n Wild packaging anyway because it's just on the sticker and then you take the sticker off and you forget what it was. It is a very beautiful, sheeny, I'm gonna kind of buff it out because that's what we do with blush. Oh, but actually I'm wearing this today. This is what I have on today. And I'm not wearing a highlighter. I only have on the blush. So that's all that's on my cheeks. So you can see exactly how it looks. It's got a beautiful sheen. On me, it's very, very natural. I think it really goes with my warm undertone, my very, very pale skin with a yellow undertone, which is what I have. And so I almost reach for it like as a bronzer, like as an everyday type of thing when I don't know what I want on my cheeks or when I want something super neutral. If I'm wearing kind of a strong look, especially strong color cosmetics look like I am today, this is often the blush I'll reach for. It's the one that I took traveling with me to Portland and to Albuquerque, the only blush that I took with me to those two places because it pretty much goes with anything and it can be very light, but then it can be built up. I just absolutely love this blush. Obviously, I've hit so much pan on it. I love everything that's here. I feel like that's kind of the definition of a video like this. It's like talking about stuff that you've used to death. The formula is also very good of the Color Icon blushes from Wet n Wild. It's pretty long lasting. It goes on beautifully. I never find it patchy. I never find it difficult to work with. That is just an absolute gem at the drugstore. Here's something that I've never shown on my channel, and I think it's partly because I've had it for a really, really long time. I believe that this product predates my interest in YouTube, and therefore it predates my makeup collection as it currently exists, meaning that I purchased this back when I kind of only had one or two of each type of product. I believe what had happened was that I fell in love with the Kjaer Weis blushes way back when I lived in Portland over 5 years ago. And I went through an entire, I used up an entire compact of the one called Desired Glow. And then I was living in Ann Arbor and I was looking for a cream blush that would serve the same purpose. So kind of a very, very neutral, natural, almost bronzy. I was shopping one day. I was in kind of a boutique beauty store in Ann Arbor where I lived when I was in graduate school. And I was looking for a replacement for Desired Glow. I think I didn't really feel like ordering it from the website or something. I just kind of had it in my mind to see if they had anything like that. So at that time, I basically had one blush and then I had used it all up and then I was looking for another blush to be my one blush. And this is what I ended up with. It's a Kevyn Aucoin cream blush duo. It's called the Creamy Glow, and it's duo number 3 in Tan Soleil Bettina. And Tan Soleil is the one that I used up. I pretty much completely used it up. Bettina is the other one right there, which I haven't hit any pan on. There is a little bit of Tan Soleil in the corner. I'm going to scrape it out and so I can swatch it for you. I might even like it better than Desired Glow. I definitely wouldn't repurchase both of them. So Desired Glow has gone bad and Tan Soleil is completely used up. And if I decide that I need something like this again next year, although I don't particularly feel right now like I need that because I just have so many blushes and so many cream blushes. If I decided though that I really wanted to replace one of them, I might pick this one. I've actually looked into it and you can buy it as a full pan. You don't have to buy the duo. Here's another Wet n Wild product, and I actually think this is a little bit cheating because I think part of why I've hit pan on this is because it is falling apart a little bit. It's the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Illuminating Palette, and this is another thing I shopped my stash for. I'll try to link my Shop My Stash videos where I talked about any of these products in the description box down below so you can watch them if you haven't, but I also have a Shop My Stash playlist. I really enjoyed using the whole thing together, but I would sometimes concentrate my brush on this bronzy stripe in the side, which is the one that I've hit pan on. So I think that that's the color that I really like the most, and then these other 3 sort of tone it down a little bit and make it less intensely bronzy. So I think I've hit pan here partly because I used that side of the palette a lot, but also because a little piece kind of came off the top and fell out. You know how that sometimes happens, a little chip came out. And I think that that led to me hitting pan very quickly from what was left underneath the part that had fallen out. But it's not like I haven't used it, I have. However, the color that that palette makes when it's all blended together is very similar to Apricot in the middle. And as you may remember from a video where I was trying to dupe out A Little Sun by Bare Minerals, very similar to a number of other cheek products that I have in my collection. So this product, as much as I enjoy it and as stunning as it is when it's used in all its glory, which actually can be very stunning, it might kind of be on the chopping block. It's something that I'm thinking about for my next declutter. I'm not totally sure. So those are the blushes. Let's talk about highlights. Here on top, I have Colourpop Spoon. This is another thing that was featured in a Shop My Stash, and I made a lot of progress on it during the couple of weeks that I was wearing it for my Shop My Stash project because I ended up really, really loving how it looked when applied with a brush. And it turned out that when I was applying it with a brush, I was picking up a ton of product every time onto the brush, and it worked way better than I expected. I always thought the Supershocks didn't pick up very well on a brush, but they really, really do. So you can see the pan, there's a huge bit of pan. Swatch it right there. I think you can see that, super shiny. This is a highlight that is nude on me. It's my nude. It's a very, very, very pale kind of rosy beige, and so it doesn't create a gold or a silver streak on me the way that the other Supershocks that I have do. Flexitarian gets kind of silver on me and Lunch Money kind of gold. This really looks sheer on me, but I think it's because it matches my skin tone very well. It wouldn't be a nude on everyone, obviously, but for me it really reads that way. And it has micro glitters in it, palpable glitters. That's another thing I really love because I love glittery highlighters. So that's what makes this one of my favorites. In a pretty similar vein, the Fenty Beauty Killawatt Highlighter in Lightning Dust Fire Crystal. I feel like I haven't talked that much about this on my channel either, but Lightning Dust, which is the one that I have hit significant pan on, is one of my favorite highlights. And it's pretty similar to Spoon, except for the glitter, although I think Fire Crystal on the other side might be a little more like Spoon actually, but it's similar in that it has an undertone that's not too gold and not too silver and might even be a tiny bit rosy, sort of like a champagne rose. Yeah, they're very similar. They look very similar. I think Spoon's a little bit glitterier and a little bit shinier. This also has kind of that putty to powder formula. It looks gorgeous when you buff it in with a brush. And I am just deeply attracted to the packaging and the aesthetic and the overall vibe of Fenty. I'm a real sucker for Fenty Beauty. And so I tend to always want to reach for this. I tend to take it with me a lot when I travel. I just tend to kind of default to it. A lot of times what I do is I'll put lightning dust, which is the less intense one, all over. You guys know how I do. I'll do like highlighter draping. I'll put it like all over my cheek and all the way up here and onto my eye, and then other parts of my face. And then I'll just tap into fire crystal to just hit the high points, maybe a tiny bit. So that's why I have so much more pan on lightning dust than I do on fire crystal, but it's also a testament to how well designed this product is, because the two highlighters really work hand in hand. I almost always use them in tandem when I reach for this. I have put this Kevyn Aucoin product in the highlighter section because it is billed as a highlighter. It's the Neo Highlighter in Sahara Golden Rose Glow. This is my bronzer. This is what I use as a bronzer. I have had bronzers before. I have some bronzers now, but really this is the only thing I ever use to do what you would call bronzing up the skin. I don't ever really get bronze. I get kind of rosy and glowy if I get sun, and that is also what happens when I apply this product. That is all from use. And as some of you know, it has kind of broken up a bit, and there have been other times that I've held this up and it has had some fragility issues, like little crumbles in it and stuff. And I leave it sitting on top of my vanity, and I've continued to use it and continue to use it. And I've used up all of those little crumbles. So now it's kind of just this piece still stuck in the pan. I think I'm going to eventually use this up, and to be honest, I will miss it. I might repurchase it, which is so crazy for something so gigantically huge. This is another thing I've talked a lot about. There was a long stretch of time when I was, every single time I filmed, brushing this not just onto my cheeks but across the bridge of the nose and onto this part of my cheeks, and I was getting a lot of comments about how healthy and glowy my skin looked, and that was because of this product. I haven't been using it lately because I can't travel with it because it's so fragile. I think I'll start using it again now that I'm back, but it's definitely one of my all-time favorite. Like if I had to pick a top 5 probably of my makeup products, this would be in it. The powder is really, really finely milled. It's finely milled enough that it's not too glowy for me to brush across my face in that way, but it's glowy enough that it is a pretty significant difference in the skin when it's used. So it's just an incredibly beautiful kind of multi-purpose or not all-purpose product, but it's a really beautiful multi-purpose product for me. Oh, I didn't swatch it. I'll try it. It'll be interesting to swatch this. As you probably know, it's supposed to be an ombre. This side was more of like a rosy champagne and this side is more of a bronze. And the two sides are different. It's not just an overspray. I think that that was a concern about another product like this. I have to be careful with the bronzy side. If I put the bronzy side in too many places or use too much of it, I can look a little bit dirty. The rosy side is really lovely, but I do like mixing it with the bronzer for the higher points. So here it is with them all mixed together. Gosh, it actually looks pretty similar to Apricot in the middle. It's just a little bit lighter, a little bit bronzier, and definitely more finely milled than Apricot in the middle, but it's very similar in tone. I sense a theme. This is the NARS Bord de Plage palette, the highlight and bronzer palette, and the product I have pan on is Rivage, my all-time favorite highlighter. Yeah, you can kind of see the rosiness when it's buffed out on the skin. I don't know how well that will pick up on camera, but it's right there. And so when it's buffed onto the skin, it's definitely not a bright white. It looks bright white next to the other highlighters in that palette, but it's not a bright white. It's a very, 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 very pale nudie beige type of thing. And then it has really fine micro glitters that I think might be multicolored. Like I think there might be a little bit of very, very finely milled multicolored glitter mixed in there, which I've caught from time to time. But for some reason, it is the highlight that looks the most natural on my skin. Is that Bake Gelée formula. I buff it, buff it, buff it in, and it just makes me gleam, but without looking garish. I'm totally smitten with that highlighter, and that's why I've hit pan on it, is because again, it's kind of my default. It's one of my go-to highlighters, especially when I'm not wearing anything else on my skin. That highlighter on a naked skin looks really good. This is exciting. I have pan on one of the highlighters in the Anastasia Beverly Hills Moonchild Glow Kit. It's Pink Heart, which is the one that's the most wearable. See that little dot right there? It's the one that's the most wearable on me, I should say. It is the kind of yellow to pink duochrome. Oh, it's so pretty. Again, I'm not sure if you can see that, it's right there. And the reason that I have pan on this one as opposed to all the other ones in that palette is pretty obvious. It's because it has a pink shift, a pink reflect, and pink is a color that it's more normal to put on the cheeks. So when I'm looking for something a little bit ethereal, but I don't want to really look like I've gone there in a costumey way, that's the only one that works. Sometimes I'll use the other ones. I really like the purples too, but unless I'm going to be in pretty dim lighting, they make me look like I have a bruise. Pretty much all of the other ones make me look like I have a bruise. The blues, the purples, the green. I have to be judicious about where I wear them. But the pink I can kind of get away with under any circumstances, so that's the one I had pan on. I hadn't realized that I had used it so frequently, but I do really like that highlight. Okay, we're on to eyeshadows. The first one, and the one that I think I probably hit pan on first. To be clear, I have panned eyeshadows before, and then those things are no longer in my collection. Back in the day when I only had one of one thing at a time, I had an eyeshadow palette and I used it all up, and then I bought another one and used it all up. So I have had the experience of panning eyeshadows completely before. It's just that these are the only ones that have pan on them that I currently own. Because now that I own so much eyeshadow, I go through it less quickly. It's this Modern Renaissance Tempera. And the reason I have pan on that is because it's an ideal lid setting shade for me. I think, like a lot of people lately, I have been toying around with not setting my lids and just letting the shadows live their best lives at full intensity. Makes it a little harder to blend, but that's kind of the style I've been going for lately. I haven't been doing that thing where I put the primer on and then immediately go in with a powder that matches my skin tone and set it. I used to do that almost every time I did my eyes though, and this is one that I was reaching for almost all the time. I find that the powdery texture of these is kind of nice for that purpose. I have two Colourpop Supershock shadows that I have pan on. One is one of my all-time favorites, probably my favorite. I only have 5. It's Blaze. Oh, I didn't swatch Tempera. Do I need to do that? I'll just do it for the sake of cohesiveness. Can't see it. Blaze. It's an absolutely stunning bronze. And I do love this. I have used it a lot, but the pans on these are very, very shallow, which is probably good because I think they tend to dry out, and it would be kind of sad if, say that this whole thing was like as full as it looks instead of just being a tiny sliver of pan inside of this big thick thing, which is what it is. You'd never be able to get through it without it drying out, because every time you open it, it's exposed to air and it gets a little closer to being dry. Look at that though. You can see why I've hit pan on that one. It's absolutely just the most me of me eyeshadows. I frequently reach for it for just a quick all over lid look or to add a little something. You can't tell how sparkly it is, but it has a really good sparkle, a really good kind of sophisticated sparkle. Not shine. I mean, obviously it does have shine, but what I'm saying is that it has a sparkle. Sometimes I'll do kind of a bronzy eye look and I'll buff out the bronzes and they'll lose a little bit of their intensity, a little bit of their texture, and then I'll reach for this and just kind of tap it over the top to add some of that excitement back in, because the finish is really beautiful. It's not just the color. The other one that I have pan on is Reversible, and it's kind of weird because I feel like I mean, maybe it's a very tiny pan, by the way. I don't even know if you can see it. It's right there in the middle, little tiny chip of pan. I just don't remember using this often enough to have pan on it. And it might, again, just be that they're so shallow. It's sort of a more neutral pale bronze color, maybe like a more rosy bronze. And maybe there was a time there when I was reaching for it a lot as a neutral lid color or sort of an easy no makeup eye, which is what it does. It kind of makes my lids look a little bit dark and sleepy and a little bit glossy. And so I guess I've used it for that often enough to have hit pan, but it doesn't strike me as one of my favorites. Like all of this other stuff is like my jam, you know, like that's why I've used so much of it. And when I saw the pan on Reversible, I was like, really? Okay. And lastly, there are two shadows in the famous Urban Decay Moon Dust palette. I just did a long video about this, 5 Days of Moon Dust, and I also shopped my stash for it. That project is still going on. So Galaxy, why am I holding it like this? What's wrong with me? Galaxy and Magnetic, the really rich kind of Prussian blue, and then the purple are the two that I have pan on, or should I say the two on which I have pan. If I'm trying not to end my sentence with a preposition, that would be it. Okay, so here's Galaxy, the Prussian, and Magnetic, the purple. And if you would like to see these shadows featured on my eyes and you have not already seen my 5 Days of Moon Dust video, you can go and watch that and see them in all of their glory. And that is it. Those are the panable products on which I have hit pan that are currently in my makeup collection. As I've said, I've hit pan on and completely panned makeup before, and then it has moved on from my collection. So these are just the things that I currently still own, that I'm still using, that have either a little or a lot of pan in them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will remember to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.